Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It feels like eternity. I think I've recorded my last video 3 months ago, so it just feels like eternity. So I'm recording this video after 2 weeks of my result being announced. And yeah, I have cracked my FMG with the score of 201 in my first attempt. This makes me so happy. I can't just tell you, it still feels surreal. It has not sunk in till yet. I just can't believe it that I did it. And I'm here sitting in front of you, sharing my journey. So yeah, if I can, I think everybody can. I just believe that if you're consistent, you are putting your efforts, one day they will reap results. So this video is going to be a little bit about my journey. I have put down my questions on my little tablet so that I can give some direction to this video. So I'll give you some context about where I come from, which college did I go to, and what did I do throughout my journey of 6 months to crack FMG. And I hope you can take some pointers, and these pointers can help you, because when I was at your place, when I was supposed to give my exam, I watched a lot of videos, so I got a lot of direction because of them, and I really hope that this video also comes into use. Alright, so the first question, let's set in some context. The first question is, which university am I from? Okay, so I started my journey with Ukraine. I was in Kharkiv National Medical University. I did my 3 years there. In my third year, the war happened, and because of it I had to come back to India, so I did my third year online. And then from my fourth year, so fourth, fifth, sixth, I went to Georgia. In Georgia I have studied from SCU, Georgian National Medical University, SCU. So yeah, that's all about my journey. I did my MBBS from 2 colleges, first from KNMU and then from SCU in Georgia. So the next question I want to answer is, when did I actually start my journey? So I was always a decent student. I was studying for my uni or prof exams, and I used to refer to the main videos, which were available on Cerebellum or Prep Ladder, Marrow. I used to take reference of these videos only when I was studying for my prof exams as well. So you can say that I somewhere had covered all these main videos. But yes, majorly what contributed towards my score is the journey which I started after coming back from Georgia, and which started around the end of August. So I was majorly, which contributed towards my journey was, with those years, for those months, which I started after coming back from Georgia. But there are many friends of mine who weren't that diligently studying when we were in uni, but they did crack the exam because they gave their best in these 6 months. Yeah, so I think everyone can do it, even if you were not that studious during your uni exam. Okay, so next I want to discuss the sources I used. So when I came back, I had subscribed to Cerebellum itself. So I followed the Mission 200 Plus program. So I was a Cerebellum student. I did follow their routine. Whatever timetable they gave, that was my major timetable. I tried to stick through it. I solved all the questions that they used to post midnight. So they have this thing where they post 25 questions every night, so just solve them. And I have recorded some videos also. So yes, I used to solve those questions even when I just began with my journey. So yeah, that's what I do. I've totally tried to stick to Cerebellum, but there were few subjects where I just could not understand what the teachers were saying, so I did change my path. Like for anatomy per se, I did follow Azam sir. For micro as well as pathology, I did follow Preeti ma'am. Then for medicine, I did follow Priyan sir. So there were few subjects which I could not follow in Cerebellum, but yes, majorly I tried to stick around Cerebellum, and I've also tried to incorporate BTR in my preparation. But yeah, that's what I tried to do for video per se. Alright, so next up I want to discuss about my question practice. So in the beginning itself, when lab 1 was going on, so in Cerebellum basically they give you 3 labs, as in they tried to make you revise the syllabus 3 times. So we have lab 1, there's lab 3, which they also called marathon. In all these labs, they give you late night PYQs, and in lab 1 they give you 25 PYQs, and they are regarding to the subject that you're solving. Whatever subject they have been trying to teach for those 4, 5, 6 days, they try to give questions regarding or around that subject only. So that's what they try to do in lab 1. So in lab 1, fully my revision and my question source were those 25 26 questions that they gave in every day, and I used to revise whatever teachers has taught the night before. So that was my routine for questions in lab 1. When lab 2 began, I also tried to include custom modules. I had Marrow subscription as well, only the question bank. So there's a feature in Marrow wherein you can make custom modules on the basis of the topics as well. So just one topic from Pedia, and I can make a custom module around that. So I can include a lot of hashtags. There is NEET PG, AIMS, then there is FMG as well, and there are many others also. So I just included these 3 hashtags, which were NEET PG, AIMS and FMG in my lab 2, and I try to make custom modules. I used to study one topic, go to Marrow, make that custom module, solve it, add if there was anything which was not taught, and yeah, that's how I went for my lab 2. I tried to include 100 questions per day, and that used to happen easily because I used to cover a few topics and then I used to solve their custom modules. Also, there was late night PYQs, so everything included, I could solve around 100 questions in lab 2. And then for lab 3, the question practice increased a little bit more because I had done the custom modules earlier in lab 2, so it was easier for me to solve them in lab 3. So I was solving like the custom modules of the whole subject in one go, and then I was all, like 100 questions, and I used to make the custom module of that subject and solve it. So yeah, that was my question practice. So in lab 1, just those 25 questions, and if anything that the teacher taught. In lab 2, I tried to make it 100, and in lab 3, yeah, it exceeded 100, I would say. Next up, I would like to include the questions regarding GT. So yes, how many GTs I gave? I think I gave around 5 or 6 GTs, and I could pass all the GTs because I gave my first GT when lab 1 was over. So almost I had done, all the subjects for once, and then I went in for GT. And yeah, I could pass all the GTs, and if possible, I would suggest to give more GTs because, GTs, I would not suggest that you look at those marks and you compare yourself according to those marks. I think nobody suggests that, that's useless. But what GTs makes you practice is that, of course, you have to sit for those long hours, so you basically get trained for that, and also the uncertainty of the questions, because whenever you're studying, you're just studying one subject at a time, right? But in GTs, it's not the case. They just throw in all the questions from all the subjects. So you basically are practicing that. So, a lot of times it happens that you know a little bit of patho, and that would help you in solving a medicine question. So that's how you get to know, and you get to learn how to integrate all the subjects together. So that's a big help which GT gives. And also there are a lot of questions which you're not aware about, and you have a very limited knowledge. So GT prepares you to solve those questions based on your limited knowledge. And when you get to do that, and when you do it successfully, when you see the result and you see that, okay, this question I wasn't sure about, but I just took a good guess and I could pass it because of that, then that gives you a certain sense of confidence. And I think it really helped in my final exam also, that because I'd given few amounts of GT, that really translated in my final exam. That yes, there were few questions I just had to guess, because every question is not from your notes, right? Every question is not going to come from what you have read. Sometimes you just have to take those intelligent guesses, and I think that's where GT practice really helps. You can take those intelligent guesses because you practice it while giving GT, because everything is now from your syllabus. So when you give GT, you get basically training your mind to give answers on the basis of whatever limited knowledge you have. So yeah, I think that way GTs really help. So I would literally suggest that, even if you have not completed the syllabus, do appear for GTs, because they're basically training you for better outcome, So yeah, even I was scared of GTs, per se. When my friends were giving GTs during their lab 1 also, I did not, because I was like, I have not covered my syllabus. How am I supposed to appear for it? But trust me, just appear for those GTs and also review them. In Cerebellum, they basically have those videos. So that really helps, because you don't have to go back to your notes or whatever, dig down the answers. They literally, you can, and I think I'm more of a video learner than I don't like to read something. I'm good at listening, so I just listen, and that really helps me. And I think with most of my friends also, listening to video just helps more, I feel. So that really helped me per se. I used to just play that video. I used to just review 50 questions because you don't have enough time. So just 50 questions per day. And yeah, in 1 week I used to review my whole GT, and I used to gain whatever I gained new from that. I used to just, annotate that in my notes. And yeah, I think giving GTs really, really helps. So next up, I would like to discuss my timetable. So in Cerebellum, they basically have late night classes, right? But I never attended the live lectures. There were a lot of friends of mine who did attend the live lectures. I think for me that didn't work. I basically tried to understand myself that I'm active after 12 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So after 12 till 6 p.m. I am in my most active self. So I tried to utilize that. So basically from 12 to 6 I used to watch their videos, the recorded parts, because the next day they just upload it, right? So it's very easy to access them and watch them. So I used to watch whatever lectures they had delivered, you know, the night before. I used to watch the recorded version of it. So from 12 to 6 my timetable was fixed that I used to watch those videos, and it takes around, because that video's length is also around 8 hours. So if you watch it on 1x or 2x, yeah, it somehow I was able to conclude those videos in 6 hours. So that was my routine. Then till 8 I used to take a break, and then after 8 to 12 again I used to go back to question practice, whatever I could do. And then after that, you know, the next morning when I used to wake up, I used to passively just revise whatever I did, and my revision technique was active recall. So yeah, I used to just open the notes and just see the blank slide, and just try to figure out or teach it to myself that whatever I've tried to study, and yeah, whatever part I thought that I could not teach myself or I could not understand, I used to go back to the video and watch it quickly at 2x. And yeah, that's how basically my revision technique was, and I think, yeah, this really helped. At last, I would also like to talk about YouTube. A lot of channels on YouTube really helped in my preparation. For that matter, Dr. Bhanu Prakash's channel, you know, he also appoints a lot of teachers, you know, during our last month of preparation, and he just puts out these videos which are like kind of like marathon. They really help. I also followed LRRs of Prep Ladder, for that matter. They also really help. Sometimes the subjects which you're not very confident about, at least you got to make sure that whatever topics they're teaching in LRR, you got to master them. So even if you don't know 100% of that subject, at least knowing that 50% would help, because you know that, you know, 50% of the questions which are going to appear in the exam are going to be from those topics which are being taught in LRRs. So I would suggest, if there's any topic which you're weak at, like I was, so just try to stick to LRRs, and then make sure that you know every bit of it, that if question appears from it, like, you just can't go wrong. So, you know, there's a very famous saying, I think, in medicine per se, that kam padho, bar padho. And I think that's the trick to crack these exams also, that anything which you're not very sure about, any subjects which you're unsure about, it's not your strongest asset, it's fine. Just try to do lesser of it, but make sure you do it so many times that even if you know less, you know that this is the high yield stuff. And even if I know this much, I can, if there are 15 questions of the subject, I can mark 10 of them right. So for a lot of subjects, I did try to stick to LRR also. So yeah, if that helps, that's it. That was my journey. I really hope it helped. It gave you some picture about it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching the video till here. If there's any queries, any questions you want me to include or make a next video about, do post it down so that I can make a video about it. But thank you so much for listening to me. This was my first sit down video, but a very special one. Because yeah, thank you so much for watching the video till here. But I better